It feels like almost overnight. All my friends in China have started or are starting their businesses. Why is this happening? I spoke to 5 of them. Although each of their stories is a bit different, there's a through line. And from the commonalities of their stories, we can kind of see the societal shift that is quietly, or maybe not so quietly, going on in China. I plan to make a video series about the stories of my friends' startups in China. And this is the first episode of the series. Let's start with the first entrepreneur, Mr. A. Mr. A was my college friend in Beijing. I did my undergrad degree in Beijing, so that's where we met. After graduating from college, he worked for a small Chinese company in San Francisco for a few years. Later on, he went to business school in UCLA. He didn't try to stay in the US for work. He lived in California for about 6 years, but never really enjoyed his life there. Upon returning to Beijing, Mr. A found a job with an investment firm because investment jobs tended to pay well. He hated that job. The company culture was toxic, but that wasn't the reason why he left that job. He left because he felt like he or the firm he worked for was not providing any real value to his clients. If you're watching this video and if you're familiar with the consulting or advisory industry, you may agree with him to an extent. Oftentimes, consultants package themselves as experts, but in fact, they're just a bunch of newly graduated students who haven't learned a thing about business or how the world works. No offense to the young professionals, really. I was once a young professional too, working for a world-renowned firm. Although I was able to learn things fast and grasp what I needed to learn to do my job, it took me a while to figure out the inner workings of a company, and I'm still far from being an expert. Now back to my friend's story. He felt like he couldn't really provide anything valuable to his clients. I'm quoting him now. He told me, "Yes, I was creating fancy PowerPoint slides with lots of numbers and statistics. The slides looked beautiful, and that was basically what I did every day. But what my client really cared about was, do I have enough cash to sustain my business for another month?" Mr. A felt like he didn't really know how business works in the real world. And the only way to know how is to do it by himself. That led to 3 different businesses he started, and the first 2 failed. He's now on his 3rd business endeavor. His company sources water purifiers from factories in China and then sell them worldwide. From what I heard, his business is doing very well. I guess the old saying, the 3rd time's a charm, works perfectly in his case. And that's Mr. A's story. I think Mr. A was visionary. If he had stuck to his investment firm, he might have already been replaced by AI at this point, like many consultants have nowadays. But using AI to explain why consultants are losing their jobs in China is missing the full picture. A more important reason, in my opinion, is the economic downturn. From early 1980s, when Deng Xiaoping first opened China up to the world, to 2010s, China went through 3 decades of economic growth. I'm a millennial. For us millennials and the majority of Gen X's, I think Gen X refers to the generation born between 1965 and 1980. All we have seen until recently is economic growth. We are the generation of the hopeful. Human beings tend to think what's been going on for a while will go on forever. We didn't know what's it like to struggle to find a job, and we didn't expect tomorrow to be worse than today. But nothing is forever. That's a painful lesson every grown-up must learn. Now back to Mr. A's story. When the economy is in an upward trajectory, companies are flush with cash, and therefore they can afford to splurge on luxurious things like hiring consultants who draft beautiful slide decks with no real value. However, during economic downturn, companies cut all the fluff that cannot bring revenue or help them save money. And that's when AI comes in to replace the consultants. So you see, in this case, AI is the final nail in the coffin, the last straw that breaks the camel's back, not the primary driver of the unemployment of consultants. Is consulting dead in China? I don't think so. The consultants who can add real value to businesses will continue to not only survive, but also thrive in the age of AI and in economic downturns. And that's the broader pictures of how consultants are faring in China. China is not alone. I've seen in the news that consulting firms are laying off employees in the US and in Europe too. That being said, I still want to end the video on a positive note. Every crisis presents an opportunity. Complaining doesn't solve any problems. All we can do is trying to find the opportunities buried under the piles of crises. I hope you enjoyed today's video. Subscribe if you like my content. I'll see you in the next video.